Trump remained steadfast in his longstanding belief in tariffs, which the conservative Wall Street Journal editorial page blasted as the dumbest trade war in history. Rupert Murdoch, whose media empire includes the newspaper, visited the Oval Office today and was on hand as Trump spoke with reporters.
I'm going to have to talk to him. Not only is it not dumb, you're going to see. Every single one of those countries is dying to make a deal.
Dying to make a deal. Well, for more on this, Richard Quest joins us now. Certainly a head-spinning day, Richard. We heard earlier from Donald Trump saying that he doesn't like to use tariffs as a negotiating tool, but it certainly seems like that's exactly what's happening.
Yeah, it was totally. It was exactly a negotiating tool. I'm not sure what he got. You see, the problem is, did the other leaders know it was a negotiating tool and act accordingly? So in the terms of the president of Mexico, had she already intended to send 10,000 troops? Was this just waiting for the moment to offer it up, if you will, as a sop to get tariffs off her back, which she knew were coming anyway? And as for Trudeau, the 1.3 billion, that was already on the table. That's not new money. At the weekend, he referred to the $1.3 billion. So what is new is a border czar and a bit of this and a bit of that and a bit of the other. And that begs the question, did you need to damage relations to such an extent? Now, Donald Trump would say he would not have got these concessions but for the tariffs. We will never know. But the long-standing damage that's been done to US-Canadian relations will take a lot longer to repair.
Yeah, damage to relations and also so much uncertainty. What have you been seeing in terms of market reaction and what can we expect tomorrow?
I think if you look at the way the market reacted, first of all, the Dow, it went heavily down. And then as soon as Mexico decided to offer up and that was off, the Dow comes back up again. So the Dow 30 was an absolute reflection of the day overall. And then if you look at the stocks of those individual companies, things like, for example, there you see that's absolutely straight down and then back up again. And then if you look at stocks like the automakers, some of those like Ford and GM, they had a very difficult day because they are going to bear the brunt of it overall. And we are only talking about a 30-day respite before we're back to square one. And finally, Linda, not to be too boring and technical about this, with Canada and Mexico, there were three issues: drugs and fentanyl, immigration, and the long-standing trade imbalance. Well, take those two off the table, and you're still left with the long-standing trade imbalance. And that's the same for China, not so much the UK, but the EU. So all this is going to be revisited by other countries.
Yeah, exactly. So this pause for Mexico and Canada is just a month. They were meant to take effect tonight. But of course, we know that he's also threatened tariffs on China. What do we know about those? We
assume they are going to come into force at some point because he said he's going to talk to China. Remember, there's already tariffs on China of 27 or something percent. So there's already tariffs in place. These are additional tariffs. And he said he's going to talk to President Xi, but they look like they will come into force. They were going to come slightly later. I would concentrate greatly now on the difficult part. In some way, dealing with the fentanyl and the immigration, you just had to make certain promises. To deal with the long-standing trade imbalances, you're going to have to change trade policy. That might mean buying more American stuff. It might be getting people to invest more in the United States. We don't know. But if you're going to reverse very long-standing, deep-seated trade imbalances, that's not going to be so easy.
All right, Richard Quest, good to have you with us as always. We are staying on this story. I want to welcome Paula Newton now, who joins us from Oakville in Ontario, Canada. So Paula, these tariffs for Canada were meant to go into effect at midnight Eastern tonight. They're now paused for some 30 days. Just exactly what happened in terms of the concessions from Canada, because they did announce this $1.3 billion for the border. But didn't Trudeau announce that in December last year?
He did. He did beef up, though, what was going to be happening at the border. I'd say not necessarily significantly, but definitely hearing what the president wanted to hear. And that includes having a person who is dedicated to the border itself, making sure that there are, he says, 10,000 personnel that are looking at this issue specifically of the fentanyl smuggling. But as has already been said, look, the amount of whether it's immigrants going into the United States or fentanyl, the numbers are quite small compared to Mexico. Donald Trump, in his posts on Truth Social, made it very clear when he was speaking about Canada, he wants an economic deal. And Canadian officials are already looking forward to the next 30 days in terms of what they can do to get to a deal. Remember, they already have a deal, a free trade deal on the table. This is Donald Trump wanting to negotiate that more than a year before it actually needs to be negotiated. And they're wondering what kind of concessions the president will want. I mean, look, in terms of strengthening the border, Linda, Canadians in some ways agree with the president. They also want a strong border. What is unnerving for so many here are really the economic consequences of what's to come, especially when you look at the crucial supply chains, the manufacturing center. Certainly business people that I've spoken to here have said that the uncertainty is already hurting companies, not just in Canada, but also in Mexico and the United States. So they are hoping that a lot can get done in the next 30 days. But as we've seen, it really is up to President Donald Trump, and he can be capricious, and what exactly he is going to accept over the next 30 days.
Yeah, exactly. All right, we will be talking about this much more in the weeks ahead. Paula Newton, good to have you with us. Thank you. I want to bring in Valeria Leon now, who joins us from Mexico City. Good to have you with us. So the Mexican president agreed to send 10,000 additional troops in the border in order to stop these tariffs coming from Donald Trump. Just explain what this means for Mexico. What is the feeling there? Does Mexico see this as a win?
Yeah, Linda, so it's unclear when is the Mexican government gonna deploy these National Guard units to the border. But former President Andrés Manuel López Obrador sent 30,000 National Guard troops to the U.S. border 3 years ago. So for now, having 10,000 National Guard units deployed to the U.S. border is something that the Mexican government can easily achieve. But this pause of the tariffs on Mexican products has been seen as an important breakthrough for Mexico's government after the Mexican president announced a whirlwind of last-minute negotiations with the Trump administration to freeze the tariffs on goods. Many Mexicans showed their support for Mexico's president after reaching this deal.